Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to meet to go over everything. They say that time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger and free. I've forgotten how it felt before the world fell at our feet. There's such a difference between us and a million miles. Hello, how are you? It's so typical of me to talk about myself. I'm sorry. I hope that you're well. Did you ever make it out of that town where nothing ever happened? It's no secret that the both of us are running out of time. So hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call, you never seem to be home. Take you apart anymore.
Hello. Aloha. Sup. It's good to see you all today. As we may have multiple languages and words, please express out loud in another language a welcome to me. Buongiorno. Howdy. I know that one. How y'all doing? All right, buongiorno. What was the other one? Hola. Welcome, one and all. Namaste. Peace be with you. Shalom. All these wonderful, beautiful greetings of welcome that we have. But the most important, most beautiful one is the one our dear young friends shared with us today, the big gleaming smile as we approach someone, showing peace and calm even towards a stranger. There's beautiful words that exist in the book of Leviticus that I want to share. And many times we hear the book of Leviticus quoted and I cringe at it, but today I want to share with you some words from the book of Leviticus that are sometimes overlooked. How you welcome your brother is how you welcome the Lord. I want us to think about those words today. I want you to say them to me again. Buongiorno. Aloha. Namaste. Peace be with you. Sup, y'all? Beautiful greetings and welcome. I hope that you had a chance to hear Mr. Earl's words today as he shared about our opening song, this first song that he ever sang as a child, and the beauty of aloha, a namaste, a welcome, a sup y'all, in that first experience of singing. I want to share with you a story that I had as a 16-year-old teenager in high school about the first time that I sang. I went into a church. It was a small Presbyterian church in Martinsville, Virginia. It was the church that my school music director was the music director at. And I walked in the happy, gleaming faces as this young man came in to sing for the first time and had a wonderful welcome from the great community, knowing that I would be there to share a song. I didn't have my guitar with me that day. I sang something a little bit more classical that morning. I hope to do that one day here as well. But all of the bright, gleaming faces that made that experience better for me. I have to tell you about the rest of this morning because it becomes important why that we have that introductory welcome. Hello, aloha, namaste, sup y'all. When that we see new friends walk into the building, because I had a very interesting experience, not just singing in front of a church for the first time, but an interesting experience on what it means to keep on singing no matter what. You're a dancer. When you dance, your dancing instructor tells you no matter what, keep going, right? If something happens out in the crowd, you keep going, right? Who here has been in high school choir? Raise your hands. Good. You remember your high school choir director telling you no matter what happens, keep singing. No matter what happens, keep dancing. I'm standing in front of this beautiful church full of people, and my eyes lock with one person in the back row who falls over and passes out while that I'm singing. The two back rows went over to surround this dear friend while that I kept on singing and ushered them out, and they were out in the narthex for the final beat of the song. And unfortunately today, I report to you that that dear soul died of a heart attack while that I was singing my first solo in a church. Aren't you glad I am telling you this story now instead of before when I sang a solo in front of this church. I should have had a Surgeon General's warning before that I sang. But unfortunately, that happened, and unfortunately, there's all sorts of things that happen that we're not prepared for when that we move into a place of aloha, welcome, buongiorno, howdy, what's up? We never know what's going to happen next, but if we can meet with that initial greeting, it can become very, very fruitful for our dear friends. I want to share with you two narratives from two different identities. I want to share with you two different stories, and as we look at this message from the book of James that Addison read for us today, we see what it means to be in a place that we can be of wise understanding as we are people of Namaste. I want us to see what it means to be of wise care and understanding when we are people of aloha. I want us to see what it means to not be people of selfish ambition and disorder when we are people of sup, y'all. I want to share these two narratives with you. Two narratives of two different identities of dear friends who had first experiences with worship settings, and then they had to process what they had from it. Now, Grace is going to show you some pictures, and I need you to know that some of these pictures may be startling as I share them with you. This individual in the picture is a professional wrestler called Mankind, and he is sort of a scary monster-esque wrestling character. I want to share with you Mankind's first experience at a small church in rural Georgia. Since my estrangement from the Catholic Church, I have often thought about finding a church that was more consistent with my beliefs. But how? I'm sure there must be some kind of method of finding a match, some kind of spiritual dating service to set you up with the right place. I remember stopping on a church in rural Georgia when our son was just a baby. It was Sunday, and we were new in the area, and we thought, why not? We'll just drop in. At the time, I wasn't nearly as aware of the cultural differences that existed between different denominations of Christianity and within our social and moral framework. This was the early 1990s. I didn't know what red and blue states were. I just thought we were all God's children, so we stepped inside. Now, what's important for this next paragraph is you to have a good look at this picture. It was like some kind of science fiction freak show with the young family playing the part of aliens from outer space. The choir stopped singing mid-note. They stopped singing and stared at us. Granted, we were probably an unusual sight. My hair was much longer, hanging down past my shoulders. I probably had a black eye and some prominent stitches in my head. We actually felt like that we had to give an example for why we were there. Hi, we're new in the area and thought we would stop by. At which point, the service continued, but just barely. Something definitely was not right in that scene, and that something was us. Go ahead and remove that distraction, please. I want us to think about that narrative. I want us to think about what it means to be people of hello, welcome, peace, namaste, aloha, and hear that narrative. I want you to think about the importance of a younger 16-year-old walking into a church for the first time and visually watching a person pass out in the back row. I want you to think about what it means when we have new faces and new friends and new individuals that walk into our journeys and we walk into their journeys. And we become the first images of the smiling faces that these young friends shared today. And those smiling faces saying, welcome. You don't need to explain while you're here. We're glad that you're here. Welcome. Peace. Namaste. Aloha. It's not always intentionally done. Sometimes that we go on journeys and we want to understand something that's new. And because that we don't understand something that's new, sometimes we ask the wrong questions. How many of you have been with your very small children at a place and they run up and ask a complete stranger the most embarrassing question that you have ever heard? That embarrassing question isn't out of spite or envy. It's about fruitful inquisitiveness. They truly want to know something. They want to know why something is different. Within these embarrassing questions that our children have said at times, there is a spirit of namaste in these questions. Peace be with you. You're important to me. I would like to hear your story. Within my journeys of mission work, I've had the blessing of being on Skid Row in Los Angeles. And one of the things that was important to me in these mission trips as we were out handing out water, the conversations that we had were not about, this is where you need to get help, this is what you should stop doing. That's not the conversations we had. The conversations were, tell me your story. I want to learn about you. I was quite nervous on these trips because for some, when we see individuals who have lives that they are unhoused and we go into places to help them, we tend to forget at times that we are entering their home. And when we enter a person's home, how do you want to treat them? When a person enters your home, how do you want them to treat you? Learning a person's life and learning a person's journey. Creating peace and namaste in such a way that it enhances an importance and it shares, thank you for letting me be in your home, so please tell me more about you. And there's no need to apologize to me when I find you in your home. I want to share with you a true blessing that I have. Every time that I have spoken to a dear friend that has walked through the doors at Temecula United Methodist Church, one of the first phrases that I hear is, this is a very welcoming place. I felt it. A strange pastor for the first time walking through the doors, seeing a congregation of dear friends, staring intently, wondering what he's going to say next. That welcoming spirit making me feel like this is already my home. My first time meeting with the SPRC here with now Bishop Sandy Allwine, I didn't feel like that I needed to explain myself. I felt a namaste in that moment, in those conversations. And I want to share with you, almost to the person, I have never heard anyone share about this place that they felt like they had to explain while they came. Thank you for that. Let me give you another narrative. This is a different identity of a person. This next person's name is Mick Foley. Mick Foley is a New York Times best-selling author. Mick Foley has written such books as Tatum Brown and Scooter. He's written multiple children's books. About around October, Mick Foley starts growing his hair out and dyeing it white so that he can be Santa Claus through the Christmas season. There is no more dear soul than Mick Foley, who works with RAIN, which is a group that helps women who suffer from domestic abuse. Mick Foley is quite possibly one of the kindest, caring people that I have had the opportunity to know of. Let me share with you his first experience walking into a church. I pulled into the parking lot to drop off the first load of offerings. I was met by two volunteers for the cell, church members who didn't have a clue who I was. Despite my unconventional appearance, I didn't feel any attitude. I didn't have the sneaking suspicion that I was being sized up or prejudiced. Just two nice, normal people helping me unload, thanking me for my time. Who knows? Maybe God really does put things into our lives for a reason. Maybe each yellow jacket is carefully selected for a preordained role, including the one that scared me, prompting my son to run to me in overblown fear just as I was about to make my second trip to the church. "Where are you going, Dad?" he said. So after months of asking when he could go, I made the choice that today would be that day, taking my small son along with me to the church he has inquired about many times. He was so excited, like a child on Christmas morning. I introduced my little son to Diane, who was one of the women who had been so nice to me. I said, "My son loves churches. He asks every day if we can come and visit." Once inside, my son fell in love with that place. I guess I fell in love with it too. Well, maybe not in love exactly. If the church was a girl, I guess I was a bit smitten. But I'd have to get to know her a little bit better before making a commitment. But my son wasn't so jaded. He really did love it. He jumped at the chance to join Miss Diane's children's choir and counted the days until he and his dad could return. "Today, Dad?" he'd ask, every bit as excited about our upcoming church date as he is on the eve of a Disney trip. Finally it came, Sunday. My son had made the most of it, singing his heart out in choir practice, though he didn't know a single word, pursuing the Bible in the main church service, looking for hidden meanings in the parables of Jesus. But mainly, he just took it all in and loved it, just as I did. I want you to know, I feel that people share that about this church. But we need to make sure that people feel that way about this church. Within every aloha, hello, welcome, buongiorno, howdy, sup y'all. We need to have the same beaming faces that these young friends have shared with us as we look at the scripture today. And when we think about the wisdom that comes from heaven in all of its pure forms, one of the most purest forms there is the smile that we present to other people. The hello, the welcome, the buongiorno, the sup y'all. And we are building welcoming places so that we can create for others feelings of empowerment. That becomes very important. I want you to think about the words of Galatians 6, verses 2 through 5. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something they are not, they have deceived themselves. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else. For each one should carry the load of others. The blessing of having that welcome. I have many different friends who come through these doors seeking for help. Sometimes it's for the momentary need. They need a gift card. They need gas. They need to get somewhere. They need food for that day. And thankfully, because of giving for things like the Giving Tree, the food baskets and so forth, that we have a way to touch those needs. But there's also a lot of effort that goes on at this church that many of you are not aware of ways that we try to help with that need so that the help is sustainable. There's many times that I've gone with dear friends to the Riverside Social Services to help them fill out paperwork so that they could have the sustained help. For our siblings in the LGBTQIA+ community, every Thursday night we have a group here that individuals come to share their stories and their journeys, and they don't have to apologize for being here. They can be smitten with this place and learn to love it. We have a place that we try to connect the sustained help so that individuals can find that love and care. We do it through the prayer quilts. We have dear friends who may have never stepped into this building that are in very vulnerable places in their lives and that they just need to feel that comforting care surround them. And they get one of these beautiful quilts and they know a community in Temecula, California is praying for them. We go out in the community in scary places and say, hello, my name is Michael Davis. I'm the pastor of Temecula United Methodist Church, so that they can hear that a community cares for them. All in the attempt of an aloha, a hello, a welcome, a namaste. I want us to think about those things because today I shared with you two different narratives from two different identities, and I'm always puzzled by the fact that these two different identities could have two radically different ideas of a first experience. Grace, jump all the way to the next picture. One more. Because they're both the same person. They're both the same person. Our environments are always and should always be a place of aloha. Even if we see a scarred face with a black eye or a New York Times best-selling author walk through the door. Our hello, our pieces, our namastes, our alohas, our barjernos should always come with the same smiling welcome, no matter the image of who walks in. Because they all have the potential of either being the scarred face that's looking for comfort that grows into a best-selling author that shares words of faith experiences. Thank you for listening to me share this with you today. And as I share this with you, I share it with you with my namaste to you. It is my blessing to be your pastor. And I shine to you the smile that the young children shined to you earlier. And I want you to know that I know that you smile at others in that way and you give them hope. Thank you for doing that. The peace of Christ be with you. This has been a presentation of Transcended Media.